I have to say our next guest, and we'll never have anything more important to say than anybody else, because she is the mother of Rhiannon Whyte, Siobhan Whyte, who is a woman who you might have seen on other shows. You've seen her on GB News, you've probably seen her on Talk. Her daughter was murdered by a migrant who came to this country and who was offered, sanctuary, who was offered all of the things that we enjoy as part of our civilised society. And this character, this scumbag, decided that what he would do would be to attack a woman who was actually helping him. You're all, I'm sure, aware of the story, but let's say a very good morning to Siobhan, because Siobhan, we really love to see you. We sympathise in a way that I don't think any of us can even know. But welcome to the show. Thank you.
Well, good morning.
You've got some important news to impart to us, though, haven't you? Because what you're telling us, and I find this incredible, is that despite what happened to your amazing daughter, she was stabbed multiple times, attacked in a horrible way. The man who did it has now been sent to jail. You've had no contact whatsoever with the Prime Minister of this country, and even with any other so-called Labour Party kind of cabinet members who talk about safety for women and girls all the time. Tell us about that.
No, absolutely no one. Jess Phillips, just after, not long after Rihanna passed away, Jess Phillips contacted my girls, spoke to them for a maximum 30 minutes, promised them everything in Rihanna's name, against femicide, not a thing after. Our local MP, Matt Weston, not a thing until recently, as I've named him, and I've now written to Keir Starmer.
Right. And I've got a copy of what you've written, but if you'd like to, would you be able to read it out to us?
I haven't actually got it in front of me, but...
Okay. Well, tell us roughly what you're asking him to do.
I asked him to meet me to discuss this and why it's still happening, basically.
Yeah.
I need answers. I need answers as to why this was allowed to happen, why Rihanna was taken from us in such circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. And how he can justify his continued kind of adherence to this plan, this kind of idea that, all immigration is good, and all, people who come here from other countries have got things that they want to do which are worthwhile. I've got your letter here in front of me. I'm going to read it out. I'm the mother of Rhiannon Whyte, who was brutally murdered in October 2024. I again am emailing to request a meeting to discuss this matter. My daughter's death was avoidable. The grief and trauma this has left us with is something you will probably never understand. And this sadly isn't a one-off. Katie, Lily, Stephanie, amongst others, our women of England are being murdered, raped or attacked on a daily basis. I need answers. Not one single member of the government has reached out. Broken promises from Jess Phillips. Our local MP, Matt Weston, reaching out now that I have named and shamed him. This isn't a matter to be brushed under the carpet, and the matters of Epstein or Mandelson to be used as a cover-up is disgraceful. That issue is in America. This is our country, England. It needs to be dealt with ASAP. I think we all would totally support what you've said there. I think it's really difficult for us to feel how you must feel. But it's just incredible, isn't it?
It just grieves me, though, Mike, is the fact that he can go out and apologise to Epstein's victims, and yes, my heart is with those girls, but they're in America. They're not here. What about our women and our children? It's like he just doesn't want to know. He just doesn't care enough.
Right. Can you? I know this is going to be difficult, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but can you tell us how you found out what had happened to Rhiannon?
Rhiannon had been on the phone to her best friend, Emma.
Yeah.
She was walking to the station, which is literally 60 seconds from the hotel.
Right.
Her friend Emma heard a scream. And then the phone went off. Emma phoned myself, But obviously I didn't answer the call at first. I was doing something. And then she spoke to Rhiannon's younger sister, Cara. She said, I think something's happened to Rhiannon, being attacked, because you don't like to think the worst, obviously. So then we're on the phone to the police, Rhiannon's other siblings. I phoned the hotel. Is Rhiannon there? No, she's left. Well, you need to get somebody over there because something's happened. And then it was literally phoning hospitals, phoning police, around family, etc. And you never think it's going to be as bad as what it is. You think she's just been beaten up, etc. Then I was on a group call with my children, and I got a call off the police, and they said they've got Rhiannon. Because I phoned the Manor when I lived in Walsall at the time. Manor was the closest hospital. I phoned the Manor, expecting her to be there. Then the police phoned. They said, we've got Rhiannon, we're taking her to the Queen Elizabeth. It's either life-threatening or life-changing. And that was it. We were literally at the hospital within half an hour, I think.
Yeah. And that was just out of the blue, right? You just were living your normal life, just doing what you normally do.
Home. She had a week off.
Yeah.
She spent it with family. And he decided that, I don't know. I mean, unless you actually watch the full video footage from the hotel, there's clips obviously in the court on the media, etc. But when myself and Rhiannon's two sisters watched the full footage, it was like 2.5 hours. It must have been that he just watched her. She went outside for a vape. He hung around the reception area, came out, walked into Rhiannon, bearing in mind there was 2 other women in front of her. Apparently it was all reported to Serco. We don't know. It wasn't. We don't know if it was written down, because if it's not written down, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But not one member of Serco got up and done anything about it. They just sat there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just awful. And when he went to trial, you obviously were in the court. Were you at some points?
We were there the whole time, yeah.
And did you have any inkling from him that he was sorry or that he was mad or anything at all? I mean, this is the problem. You see, I feel so sad for you and your family, but also angry that these people are coming into the country who are, you know, dangerous and, you know, obviously dangerous. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
There was nothing. When he got arrested, thankfully, British Transport made the arrest within 5 hours. He went back to the police station and fell asleep. And then during the trial, his barrister, I didn't hear it. I'd actually walked out of the courtroom at the time because of something else that had been said. And my sister came out and she was fuming, and she said that the barrister turned around and he said, well, can you imagine how scared and frightened he is? Well, how does he think Rhiannon was feeling?
Yeah. Also, I don't care how scared and frightened he is, to be honest.
I don't care how scared and frightened. I hope he's scared and frightened for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But to bring that up, I mean, his barrister mentioned race. Not once through any of this have we mentioned race. It was one person who took my daughter.
Yeah.
But again, now we come back to the government. It's, why are they allowing these people in when they're undocumented, unvetted? We don't know what diseases they've got. We don't even know if that's their real age, because their generic age is the 1st of the 1st, which this scumbag tried to do with Rhiannon. He lied about his age. He called the forensics a liar. He just had no remorse or care in the world. Just shrugged everything off.
Yeah. And does it not make you think, because it makes me think this, that there are people who come from countries in the world who are not human in the way that we are human. They don't have any kind of remorse. They don't have any sense of right and wrong. They seem to think that they can do whatever they want.
No, the thing is, though, I mean, it came out that he had fled South Sudan to go to North Sudan because he was in fear of his life. He left his pregnant wife and his family in North Sudan. And and then obviously he went to Libya, Germany, Italy, and France before he came to England. But his barrister was more concerned about him fleeing for his life, because apparently a soldier wanted to marry his sister. You just don't know what to believe. It's consistent lies all the way through.
Right. And what sort of support did you get from the judicial system in terms of advice or lawyers kind of talking to you? What did you get?
British Transport Police have been absolutely fantastic. From the minute they had that arrest until recently, even now, we still stay in touch. Paul Atwell, the detective superintendent who took the case that night, I'm just thankful he did. Our liaison officers, Tim and Carl, have been brilliant. They've been very honest and open with me, because I said to them, if I feel like you're lying, I won't have any faith. Because obviously I had no faith in the systems, etc. at the time. I was heartbroken.
Yeah, of course.
British Transport Police have been brilliant. Our barrister, Michelle Healy, I could not have wished. In fact, I refused to do the trial if we didn't have Michelle. As that side of it, I honestly can't. I'm grateful to them. I will be for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And let's talk a bit about Rhiannon, because sometimes, when we talk about these terrible events, we don't think about the person who's no longer here. Rhiannon was your daughter. Tell us a bit about her. What was her kind of demeanour? What did she like to do? What was her favourite movie? What was her favourite, song?
Yeah, she genuinely was the softest, laid back person you could ever meet.
Yeah.
She didn't like, it's not that she didn't see, but she didn't like to see the dangers in life, hence probably working at that hotel. But, she just liked to get on with everybody. And I used to keep saying to her, even from a child, like, stand up for yourself, but she was quite soft. Her family were her first and foremost. Her little boy, again, she doted on him, her nieces and nephews. She became my best friend. Obviously, she was my friend anyway. She was my daughter, but she lived with me and we did everything together the last kind of 2-3 years. But if Rihanna saw someone struggling on the street, she would give them her last pound. That's how soft and gentle she was. She didn't like to see bad in anyone. And, I was worried when she started the hotel. Obviously, I'm a mum.
Yeah.
But I think there's a group of like 5 migrants used to talk to her, and her heart used to go out to them because they were like gay and they've had to fled their country, or that they've come over to try and genuine help and bring their families over, etc. But as a whole, she was just a little darling, honestly.
Yeah. And you've got her little boy to remember her by. Does he look like her?
He's her double. He's got the blonde hair, blue eyes. Personality, yes. But Rhiannon had a bit of a dark sense of humour, where we've got a bit of she was very quirky and dark. He's very out there. He's got a great little sense of humour, but to look at him, he's like looking at her as a child. Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Wow, amazing. And if you can get this, I'm going to call him a scumbag, Keir Starmer, because he is, in front of you, if you could get him in front of you, what would you say to him?
One thing I will say is he really won't like me when I finish, but I don't care. I want to ask him why he's so quick to fly off to China, fly off to America, do all this for everybody else, but not his own women. Why has he, as this big Prime Minister of our country, etc., why has he not reached out? Why has he not took a firm stance on this and said, look, enough is enough?
Yeah.
That he's just, I'll let you in. I'll let you into our country, and basically you just go and murder our women and children. It doesn't matter. And our men. I despise him. I absolutely despise the man. And I know it was the government before him as well. But if he cared about our people, why has he not stopped this?
Yeah.
Why is he not? This is what I want to know. Why have you not stopped this? Why is my daughter not here anymore? Because you allowed this scumbag into our country. I've got to live with that for the rest of my life. Her little boy's got to grow up without his mum. Her sibling, Rhiannon's siblings have lost their sister.
Yeah.
And 2 days after the verdict in October last year, we lost our mum. She was heartbroken. And, we had Rhiannon's verdict on the Friday. He was found guilty. This was meant to have been dealt with in December. But because, again, bone density, refusals, etc., it wasn't. So losing my mum, Rhiannon's nan, it's just spiralled us again. But basically, I want to say to Starmer, he's got the death of 2 people on his hands from my family.
Yeah.
He's got to stand up and take note, because enough is enough.
Yeah. Well, listen, we will do what we can to help and try and get him to come and see you, because you deserve at least that respect and the notice that he should be giving, not only to you but to everybody in this country. He walks around, he goes to an iftar, and talks about how the Muslim community is so great for Britain.
It's a rubbish he puts online, isn't it?
I know.
The news, and he's like, I'm out to protect these women and children, etc. There's a death, there's a rape, there's something every single day under his government.
Yeah.
But he'd rather fly off to, again, I feel sorry for these girls that are involved in the Epstein case, but I may be a bit selfish. I don't care at the moment. I want our country dealt with. I want a reason as to why this happened to my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, and how he let it happen, because he did. No doubt about it. Siobhan, listen, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And we'll talk again, I'm sure. But I'll do what I can to put some pressure on these scumbags, to come and see you. Siobhan Whyte, the mother of Rhiannon Whyte, brutally murdered in a horrible way, by the way. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but absolutely and utterly, degraded, brutalised, horribly attacked by this little bastard, to be quite frank. Quite upsetting, that. Quite upsetting. But we'll go on, because unfortunately, more and more of these scumbags are arriving literally by the day. 2,200, we were told, up until, I think, Monday or Tuesday of this week, have come on small boats since the beginning of January. And how many of those are going to end up in prison? How many of those are going to end up stabbing somebody to death? How many of those are going to rape and assault sexually young women in this country? How many of our women and girls are going to be attacked by those 2,500 people coming into the country that we don't want and that we don't ask for and that we don't really believe in? That is the problem. Susie says this: Starmer has spent his entire career protecting the very worst in society. He hates us. He really is awful, isn't he? And Jess Phillips ought to be ashamed of herself, shouldn't she? She hasn't even answered Rhiannon Whyte's mother's letters. Siobhan's written to Jess Phillips and been ignored. How the hell can these people even live with themselves? How awful is that?